Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, viewers, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between. Welcome to the first ever episode of This Week in the News, a show where I, your host, Jay, go over the biggest news stories of the week. And this week, I'll be honest with you, we've got a lot of shit to go over, so let's just get into it. Now, for the first story of the week, on the 7th of January 2025, Jean-Marie Le Pen tragically passed away. He was taken from us at the young age of 96. Jean-Marie Le Pen is the father of Marine Le Pen and the creator of the National Front. The National Front is essentially the most far-right party you can find in France. You know, it's the creme de la creme, if we're using the French language, when it comes to racism. He's known for being a pretty racist, bigoted individual. Not a very nice man, in my opinion. And he's pretty much the reason the far right went mainstream in France. He was seen as a bit of a punching bag in French politics. And when he died, the celebrations have been crazy in the cities of Paris and Lyon. You know, people have been going wild. They've got signs saying, "Hooray, the racist is dead," and shit. You know, I'll show a video now. The celebration's insane. Despite these joyous celebrations, we do have some party poopers. Some right-wing French politicians have said and come out that, you know, no one should be treated like this after death. But to be honest, if you look at the public's reaction, maybe it does reflect a little something about Le Pen's personality and the way he affected a lot of people. It's pretty understandable considering far-right politics, you know, just as any extremist ideologies can be extremely harmful. The party that he founded is currently inside of the European Parliament, actually headed by his daughter Marine Le Pen, who is also a very hated figure in France. Don't you worry, guys. They are not a popular family in France, but of course, you know, they have their supporters and they've gained a lot of popularity. You know, Marine Le Pen, I believe, came runner-up in the presidential elections. Far-right politics play a big role in French politics, and now you can see it playing a big role in European politics. And somewhat this man is to blame for that, or maybe, you know, to thank for that, depending on where you stand. All of this to say that Jean-Marie Le Pen is a very polarizing figure in politics, especially French politics, and whether or not he deserves all the hate he's getting now is debatable. You really can't deny that, but it is still sad that someone died. Moving on to across the Atlantic, it appears that Donald J. Trump just cannot stop making headlines. And this week, he's gone viral for a few things, one of them being the fact that he wants to rename the Gulf of America. The Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And you can tell it's already working. I mean, I'm already calling it the Gulf of America. Everyone, it's such a catchy name. I mean, it is quite a catchy name, granted, but I just see no point of doing this. Like, there's no way you have the resources and the time to be doing this when you're coming into office. To be honest, it's probably another one of his publicity stunts. Another one that I'm about to touch on. Trump is threatening to use military force to annex Greenland, Panama, and Canada. I don't know if he threatened to use military force on one of them, but he's made it clear that he wouldn't rule it out to achieve this goal. Now, personally, I don't see the point of annexing Greenland. It's basically just a big chunk of ice, and all of the people that live on it are basically running away from it. Okay, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them do not want to be there. And honestly, going to war with, you know, Denmark over fucking, I guess, what could be considered a mildly important trading position in the Atlantic. Despite me saying it's a publicity stunt, he does seem quite serious because he sent his son out to distribute these Make Greenland Great Again caps to the locals. Now, I have one question, and just one. Can you please explain to me when Greenland was ever great? Like, no offense to anyone that lives there, but I think even you can agree that Greenland's never been what someone would call a great country. It's a bit of a nothing burger country, in my opinion. And pairing up nicely with Greenland, he has also planned on annexing Panama. Now, I think that annexing the entirety of the country of Panama is unrealistic. I do see that he might be able just to regain control of the Panama Canal. Because in case you forgot, it used to be, US owned. So I don't think that would be too out of the question. Unlike the next one, though. This isn't the first time he's mentioned it, but Trump has expressed interest in making Canada the 51st state. Can you believe this guy? That's right. It's happening, boys. Trump is going to annex the entirety of Canada. But on a real note, this might be the stupidest one. I don't see a universe where even in Cuckoo Land, he even gets fucking Nova Scotia, let alone fucking the entirety of Canada. I mean, it's more likely that fucking Steve Cooper gets married to Zendaya before Canada would even consider this move, because it benefits none of the parties involved, considering America already has a whole load of problems that Trump needs to deal with, and I don't think he'll have the time over 4 years, maybe 8 years at best, to deal with these problems. And if he adds Canada on, he's already got fentanyl addicts down in San Francisco. Now he's got to deal with the ones in Toronto too. I just don't see a chance in hell. A snowball's chance in hell, as Trudeau said it, that Canada would get annexed by the US. And it's true. It's just not a very realistic thing that would happen. But speaking of Canada and Trudeau, it's officially Trudeau. Justin Trudeau has announced that he would be stepping down as the leader of the Canadian Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada as soon as a new leader for the Canadian Liberal Party is chosen. He cited that internal battles are the main reason that he would not be able to present himself for the next election, stating that this country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. Trudeau has become very unpopular over recent years with Canadians. Even Liberals in Canada have stated their unhappiness with his running of the country. And I have to say, I'm not very well versed in Canadian politics, so I don't know what exactly he's done that's bad and what he's done that's good. What I do know, though, is that Canada isn't in the best spot right now. I mentioned before the fentanyl problem. So it'll be exciting to see what happens next, what the next moves are. When that happens, you can be assured that those changes will be presented on this channel. I'll keep up to date with Canadian politics just for you guys. And for that, I think I deserve a like, subscribe. I also stream on Twitch, so go check me out there. I'll link it down in the description, and I'll also show it now. And speaking of social media related things, Mark Zuckerberg and Meta have announced that they will stop fact-checking information. That's right, you can post anything and it will be checked by community guidelines. Pretty interesting that he's made that decision, considering that false information, fake news and whatnot is already a bit of a problem on the internet. And he's decided to just make it easier by stopping fact-checking. The reason he's made this decision is because he stated that third-party moderators are apparently too politically biased, because I'm sure, fact checkers on the internet will not be. He stated that it's time to go back to our roots around free expression. And that's something I can get behind, spreading false information on the internet. It's going to be great to see what people are going to abuse this for, because, knowing the internet, he's going to get trolled, and then probably gonna have to go back to third-party moderating, or maybe not, we'll see. But Zuckerberg has been accused of trying to cozy up to Trump's new regime in the US by emulating what used to be known as Twitter, X, which was a formidable propaganda machine for Donald Trump during his election campaign. So who knows, maybe Instagram is going to turn into Twitter, aka an absolute fucking hellhole. I really can't wait for it. I actually used to like Instagram, but I just know it's going to become unusable. To be honest, I think these kind of social medias are going to start dying out a bit, with TikTok being banned, Instagram and Twitter basically turning into unusable hellholes that are filled with echo chambers and whatnot. It'll be really interesting to see the impact that having some absolute rotten social media will have on our modern politics. It's already influenced one election. I remember during the UK elections, Nigel Farage got pretty popular on TikTok, and a lot of people were saying vote reform. A lot of them were too young to vote. And speaking of UK politics, Andrew Tate has announced that he has ambitions to run for Prime Minister of the UK. And he's already been banned on Twitter. Now, obviously, no one from Luton is going to get elected Prime Minister of the UK, let alone Andrew Tate. If someone's going to vote far right, they'll probably select reform. And honestly, if I had to choose reform or Andrew Tate, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'd probably go for reform, because Andrew Tate as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, it just wouldn't end well. And I do have to say, I've been out of the loop when it comes to Andrew Tate's recent shit, but this is definitely one of his bigger publicity stunts. So now I'm gonna go over a few of his policies that he plans to put in place. One of them being a zero tolerance to knife crime in the UK. He's announced that he will have a 24/7 live broadcast of knife crime offenders serving solitary confinement. No redemption arcs, no second chances. That's the most Tate shit I've ever heard. He's also planning on making illegal migration fall to zero thanks to the Royal Navy, and I have no idea how he's planning on doing this. He's just gonna be sending out fucking warships to combat the small dinghy boats that are coming in to the British Isles. He's also planning on banning LGBTQIA+ propaganda from schools. Now, I don't know what he's talking about here. As someone who's gone to school in the UK, there is no such thing as LGBTQ propaganda. I guess they teach you how to tolerate them, which is pretty bad. That's not on, guys. And finally, he is planning on making a new government department called Daddy, kind of in line with Elon Musk's Doge thing, having a government department have a funny name. I don't know, man. So Doge, of course, stands for the Department of Government Efficiency, and Daddy stands for Department of Assistance and Development for Domestic Youth. And those are my standout policies that he's announced on Twitter. Of course, he's announced that he's going to make some other reforms to make Britain great again. Britain for Britons. I don't know if you've noticed, this is a very far-right political party. And the funniest thing is, he's running this party from Romania because he is a wanted criminal in the UK. But now, in other and very much sadder news, Los Angeles has been struck with a series of wildfires that have struck many different areas in the city of Los Angeles. Data shows that these fires are the most destructive blazes in modern US history. They've torn through many different neighborhoods in LA, with more than 1,000 structures being damaged so far, and 16 people being dead and many more being evacuated. Damages are estimated to be around $135 billion to $150 billion. Seeing the pictures reminds me of Fallout 76. I mean, this is really bad. It's very reminiscent of the wildfires that happened in Australia around 5 years ago now. The worst of these have been the Palisades fires, which have caused many famous Hollywood A-listers to evacuate their homes. Honestly, there's a lot to be said about this topic, and it's just a very sad thing to see. People are blaming the Biden administration for having empty fire hydrants, for example, but I just think it's because these fires are raging so much, and they've already used up a lot of water, and there are many videos of water still running in neighborhoods that have already been ravaged. There's also a video of the mayor of LA being confronted on these fires and why she wasn't there, and it's just 2 minutes of her not speaking. It's honestly a pretty hard watch.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
But that being said, all my thoughts go out to the people affected by this fire. And if you're interested, I'll link a charity that you can donate to if this video reaches enough people, that is. The CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, has been accused of sexual abuse by his sister. Ann Altman sued Sam Altman, alleging that he sexually abused her between 1997 and 2006, while she was 3 and he was 12. She alleges that this abuse took place several times a week from 1997 and 2006. Now, Altman, along with his mother and both of his brothers, have issued a statement denying these allegations. The lawsuit, which was filed in the U.S. Eastern District of Missouri, is seeking a jury trial and damages in excess of 75 grand. Now, while it is important to note that Ann Altman has a history of mental health issues, her lawyers are saying that the abuse is the reason for these mental health issues. And on that dark note, I'm gonna end off the video here. Let me know what you thought of the first full week of January. It's only been a week and it's already going crazy. I mean, this year is about to go insane. And again, please feel free to leave a like, a sub, and also go follow me on Twitch, where I'm streaming the COD gameplay that you're currently seeing. With that being said, good night.